What's up to all my product founders and creatives out there? This is your host, Lisa Montero, and you're listening to the Visual Commerce Podcast, where founders, creatives, and brand leaders bring you insights on how to tell better visual stories of your product in 3, 2, 1. We are here with Chris Breen, Head of Partnerships at Public Goods, a D2C and B2B home goods company that makes designs forward and sustainable home goods products easily accessible to companies in the hospitality industry through a membership-based model. Even more, they are elevating the B2B space with their online experience and visual narrative. I'm so excited for you guys to hear more about this. Chris, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to dive into this.
So, Chris, could you start by just giving us some background on what Public Goods is all about?
Sure. Public Goods is a D2C consumer packaged goods membership-based company. We started in the personal care space actually about 4 to 5 years ago now, and it was founded by Morgan Hirsch and Michael Furchak. Starting in personal care really actually helped us form brand values. So simplicity, healthy products, design-centric products. Starting there, we really realized there's a demand cross category. So personal care was first, and then household, and now grocery. So we look to expand the SKUs, more products, and more categories in the future. We're really sticking with a consistent design principle, and also healthy products that anyone can trust. And I know we're going to dive into this later, but universally acceptable products that work in all different types of formats. So kind of the anti-Amazon in the way where we're limiting choice, but they're products that you can really rely on and trust, so that when you're buying them, that there's an inherent trust between us and the customer, and the member. So that's the D2C side of the business, which is exciting. What I really want to dive in today and talk about a little bit more is actually the B2B side of the business, the partnerships department, and kind of what we're working on there. Partnering with a lot of partners in the hospitality space as well as retail currently, and working with them. So that's been an exciting about 2-year journey that actually started with one big account in hospitality, which was Zeus Living, still one of our premier accounts, and we love working with them. But yeah, selling wholesale as well. So there's kind of two sides to the business, two digital products per se, and that's where we're at today. So I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. And the reason why I reached out to you is I saw your post on LinkedIn dropping PG's new B2B site, and I went, whoa, this is not a common experience for a B2B site, but it is the direction that we're headed in. Could you talk a little bit more about the recent website build and why you think visual strategy now matters in B2B experience?
Yeah, it was an exciting moment, and there is to be honest, there's a long way to go in terms of improving the site and making it user friendly. What I will say, and this is kind of no secret to anyone, wholesale shopping inherently is kind of this robust and usually difficult experience. It's normally not very pretty, really hard on the person who's sourcing the products, whether you're in procurement or operations. Maybe it happens through email communication, but rarely is it ever self-serving and simple. So really that was kind of the goal for launching this new site. So we were operating underneath the D2C side of the business, in a wholesale portal within Shopify. That's our backend. We took that and those principles and actually applied it to a fully separate URL and site, and now functions on its own Shopify store. So we have full customizability. The design is up to us, etc. So really the sky's the limit there, but the end goal is to help customers kind of come onto the site, have an easy shopping experience, check out, and feel like it was stress-free. So that's where we're heading. And every week it's kind of new things will come up in the journey, etc. And we're trying to improve this, but exciting nonetheless, because we do feel like we're kind of paving our own way in that space.
Yeah, definitely. And what would you say are the key elements in your visual experience that allow you to compete against other channels that a buyer might go to, like Amazon? Or I know you had even mentioned Costco might be a place, but in our interaction, you would discuss the B2B facelift. What is that? What does that really mean?
Yeah, so if you're say a buyer, or you work in procurement and you have a rental company. Maybe it's a long-term rental company, and there's a lot of players in that space, like Zeus, like I mentioned, Avant, Stay, Sonder, Blue Ground. There's a lot of them. Or maybe you're just a super Airbnb host. If you're looking to buy products and you're going to be looking cross-category, normally personal care for the bath amenities, household for the kitchen, grocery for the kitchen as well. Maybe you also want some pantry items for your guests. It really depends on what you're trying to buy. If you go into Amazon, you type in shampoo, there's going to be thousands of search options. So that's already in itself, it's already kind of difficult. And then if you're trying to source, say you're a regional company or maybe even national, and you want a consistent brand for your hospitality company, it'd be very difficult to have a consistent guest experience if you're sourcing, these products for that property in Boston and these products for that property in New York, and shipments are coming from all over the place and there's different items. And what we're really doing for our hospitality partners is, if they have different locations, no matter where they are, it's a uniform experience for their guests. So you're going to have public goods in the bathroom, public goods shampoo, and you'll have public goods coffee, and the guests love it. It's great products, and it really enhances the brand of the actual hospitality company. So it's a win-win for them. They get a simple sourcing experience, procurement's easy, and then the guests love it. So it works for everyone involved.
Absolutely. It's like very revolutionary approach to wholesale shopping, from that kind of clunky to beautifully seamless, where people can just come on and know what to expect, and not be overstimulated by tons of different options or visual experiences. And what I find so cool is that you're the head of partnerships for PG, but we were still able to have an entire discussion on the visual narrative of the brand, which I think really speaks to the shift from the siloed approach. And yes, we see marketing and creative playing together, or sales and marketing, but it's not that common that you see the partnerships department playing a role in developing the visual story. Could you talk about what your role is in partnerships in the company, and how does that relate to the marketing and social and branding efforts?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. What I will say is, personally myself, I care a lot about design. So, working with people in the hospitality space, for me, I just really, quite frankly, enjoy it. I love people that are just pushing the elements of design. I love interviewing them. I love talking to them. So any sort of positioning we can get in terms of getting into a nice hotel or a nice long-term rental company that cares about their guest experience, I'm all in for that. I think there's that kind of mentality in the whole department. And, what I will say is, I started doing this about 2 years ago, and I was the first seller that was brought on to manage the Zeus account. And, we were working with them to get all their amenities for all of their properties nationally. And, what I realized is this could really, grow beyond their account. And it went from, carrying a box of public goods products on my shoulder around New York from hotel to hotel and discussing it with them personally, to being like, okay, we got to think bigger than this. So hiring more people. So we have sales, we have account management, soon to be B2B marketing, and really starting to like think about what our guests, or sorry, excuse me, what our customers want for their guests. So if you're in the
Mhm.
hospitality space, it's a given that the guests are going to love the product. So it's kind of become an easy pitch. And as we launch new products and new categories, it makes sense for them. And we're also just leveraging ourselves really deeply ingrained in the hospitality industry. So what I will say is, if you have a lot of Airbnb hosts buying, a lot of hotels that are sourcing your stuff, you kind of naturally elevate the brand through word of mouth. Um, and you become just a player in that design space. So you think of like Aesop, for example. Like, they are Aesop because of where you find Aesop products. It's luxurious, but when you're at a really nice hotel and it has Aesop, it helps the brand. So it really helps us from a B2B angle, obviously revenue, to be in these spaces. And then it helps the D2C side of the business because we have new touch points with customers. And we get to kind of control that through our new B2B site. So I'm very fortunate to have kind of full, as of right now, oversight onto our new digital product, which is our wholesale site. So, moving around photography, figuring out where merchandising is going to look, and controlling that visual narrative, as you brought up. We are hiring more and more people to help with this because, merchandising in itself is very difficult. And every single time a product launches, you have to figure out where it looks like on the site. And product photography in itself, you could do lifestyle photography, you could just do this photography. So I'm lucky to have oversight there and a lot of direction, but looking forward to also hiring more people to help because, like I said, the sky's the limit. We're just excited to make the digital product the best we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how you had touched on in our earlier conversation about how the companies you work with, they care about aesthetics. So this helps inform the creative elements. And since there's a tight relationship among your
Mhm.
departments, it can add that value to each other and there can be that cross conversation.
Right.
Now, I have listened to a previous podcast you spoke on where you discussed that having a narrative and storytelling driven approach is important to PG. Could you expand on this and maybe how you were telling the story of PG before versus how you're telling it now? And I know you just kind of spoke about it as well, but could you expand on it a little bit more?
Yeah, no worries. Sometimes I can go on a little bit of a rant there. So,
No problem.
um, what I will say is how we were telling the story 2 years ago versus how we're telling it now is vastly different. And I think for a few reasons. 2 years ago, we had a much smaller selection of products. So it's difficult to tell a story when you don't have the full product category, the list of products you're looking for. The more SKUs you have in your business, so the more categories we have, you get to tell that brand narrative through the new product. So every single new product we launch, it kind of reaffirms what we're looking for or going for per se. So it's simplicity, again, sustainability. And then as we also redevelop old products to be more sustainable, we're reaffirming and planting ourselves there. So I will say, now versus 2 years ago, we have a much broader SKU line. We're going to be continuing to launch new categories. So as we dive deeper, that reaffirms the brand values and mission. Also, it's 2 years of ad spend. It's 2 years of marketing. It's 2 years of growing the company. So 2 years ago, I would send out an email list to 1,000 people in hospitality, and you get a lot of like, what is public goods, and then you get on the phone and pitch it to them. And now it's like, oh, I saw you guys on Instagram, or I got your ramen advertisement. Like, of course, like I know what public goods is. Like they already have this connection with the brand, so it's just becoming easier, and we're getting a lot of inbound leads, which 2 years ago inbound leads would have been like, a gift, and now it's coming pretty naturally. So yeah, it's 2 years of growth. And as we continue to launch new products, the narrative just gets further implanted. So I'm just excited I'm excited for the new SKUs we're launching. And, obviously, there's a business like, think of Trader Joe's, like they have 3,000 SKUs. Trader Joe's is Trader Joe's because they reaffirm their brand values through all those products. So the more opportunities you get to do that, the better. And it's an exciting time. So I'm very stoked for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And could you explain a little bit about what are the creative elements you might use on the website versus what you might put on your social media to be able to continue to tell the narrative of public goods?
Yeah, I have to give a shout out and credit where it's due to the marketing team, the social team. They've done a really good job, I will say, especially on the website. I think the website does a really the customer journey on the website, I think, is reaffirmed by how it's laid out. So as soon as you enter publicgoods.com, I think everyone's in marketing is thinking through, how do we make this simpler? Like, how do we make this a customer journey that's like pretty stress free. Or it actually says on the front page, which I love, is like a peace of mind shopping experience. So the
Mhm.
photography, everything is kind of there to make it like very easy to look at. And I think the site does a really good job of that. And I think the social media kind of reinforces that as well. So on social, we have a big affiliate program running, a lot of influencers who love posting our stuff. And now what we're seeing, which is exciting for me, is like the hotels are posting, the Airbnbs are posting. So the more we get to see our products like in a beautiful hotel or at somebody's Airbnb, and you get to see them in those spaces, it reaffirms the brand values of being design centric and simple. So like I mentioned with Aesop earlier, like the more we can do that, the more opportunities we'll have in the future. And yeah, it's been great. Like social, I think they're doing a fantastic job, and the website as well. And as we continue to kind of just grow, I think what we will see, and you'll probably see in the future, is more lifestyle photography. We just launched dinnerware last week, actually. So, when dinnerware came out, more product shots with food in it, more videos, stop motions, which I love that stuff. So I'm excited to see more of that in the future as the creative resources grow.
Me too. And you guys sell on other e-com sites as well. How do you
Mhm.
determine which sites to partner with, and how do you ensure that the visual narrative of who you guys are stays consistent on these sites when you don't have entire control of that site's aesthetic?
Yeah, what I will say is it's usually a conversation every single time we go to launch on a new site or a new retailer. It's definitely a debate we have, because you have to share the space, and I've mentioned that before. So there has to be alignment with the site or the retailer. Has to be a good relationship with the buyer as well, and we really need to align on kind of what the goals are for selling our products on there. What we'll normally do is just do like a grouping of bestsellers. So Verishop is a good example. West Elm, Holt Renfrew, Indigo are some sites you'll find our products. And we do some of the best sellers, and it does actually help the D2C side of the business, because what you're finding is you're seeing the products outside of the membership model, and they're usually going to be marked up a little bit more because naturally you have to fit in the margin requirements of these retailers. So it's a good touch point for new customers. So if you find shampoo on a retailer's website and it's 750, and then you see it's on publicgoods.com for 450, you can kind of have that internal debate of, okay, I'll buy this shampoo now, see if I like the brand, and then maybe I'll opt into the membership and start buying all, 300 of their products. So it works on both ends. Retailers get the exclusive opportunity to offer a brand that's naturally a membership model, and then customers kind of get to
Mhm.
make that decision for their own. If they like the brand, then maybe they'll opt into the membership and start buying more of it. So it's a one-off conversation every time. We have to be aligned, and then hopefully sales are strong, and there's good we resonate well with that retailer's customers, and we've done pretty well with some of our partners. So you'll probably see us pop up on a few more sites, but has to be the right fit, and that's just a conversation we have internally.
Absolutely. And do you guys often provide the photography for these retailers to keep that consistency, or is that another conversation where they have some other photography service they might provide and they use it, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, it really depends. Some of them have their own internal resources and will do shoots, which is great. Um, I'll never argue with someone shooting our products, on our behalf. I think that's fantastic. But we do have a fantastic creative director internally and a big creative team that also has the resources to do it. So, getting listed on another retailer site is kind of a lift. You have to upload your photos, product descriptions, merchandise it well so that people actually want to buy it and find it on the site. But that's a relationship we have with the buyers. So we work with them. We try and get better product placement, a part of the site that looks best for the brand, and get aligned on that. And then we'll kind of come up with a creative vision, discuss it, who's going to execute it, and then whether it's internally or theirs. And then, we come up with the deliverables and we'll launch it. So it really depends on each retailer. They seem to have their own way of going about it.
And I think that's even helpful for people listening to know that there's not a locked in set process for how to handle those creative relationships. Sometimes you just have to see and kind of adapt depending on what's coming to the table between companies. Chris, is there anything exciting that we can really be looking forward to with PG this year?
There's a lot. There's definitely a lot. I'd say the new product rollouts are keep an eye out for them. I don't want to spoil anything, but product development in terms of resources internally, we're growing that department. They're coming out with some great stuff. They're innovating on old products that we already have. So in terms of the physical products we're offering, just keep an eye out, because there is some exciting launches coming in the future. And dinnerware, like I mentioned, just happened, and if you haven't seen that one, check it out. What I will say is more hires as well. We're kind of in that hiring stage of a startup. So, more perspectives, more resources, more energy from more people. So I'm just excited to have more talent on the team. I think that's what every startup wants, is to hit that kind of that phase where you can really hit that growth portion. New big accounts as well in the partnership department. So, big businesses we're working with that are enterprise size, it'll be lots of distribution for our products. I really enjoy those partnerships. They're a big lift, a longer lead time, but you get a lot of touch points for the brand. So some great partnerships coming. Um, and I will just say, I think our management team is starting to think really big. I think high level about the brand, and we seem to be really aligned on the future. So it's been a long time coming, but I think the remainder of this year and going to 2022, there's a lot to look forward to.
Oh, I'm excited for you guys. Chris, thank you so much for being here today. Such a helpful perspective as businesses try to navigate unique approaches to telling their story, especially in the B2B space. Check out Public Goods at publicgoods.com or visit their Instagram at Public Goods.
Thanks for having me, Lisa. Really appreciate it. It was a pleasure to talk
Thanks,
to you.
Chris.